Every year at the start of the year, like a lot of people, I make plans. Whether I follow through with those plans or not is a totally different question, but something about New Year's gets me really excited, probably because I get a little bit of a break before it, so I'm rejuvenated, but also the idea of guessing where the next year is going to go, trying to make plans, trying to get excited about what could happen in that next year. That just really gets me going. So what I want to do is two things. First of all, I want to talk about what those plans are for 2025. What's going to happen with Dunna Did It, with YouTube, with Instagram, everything that I've got planned for it. I'd love to just let you in on that so you know what to expect. And second of all, I want to answer the questions that you gave me. So over on Instagram, I did one of those little question stickers, but in true Dunna Did It fashion, I want to head outside. I want to go for a walk or a hike or whatever you want to call it. Let's go out into nature and I'll try and answer those questions to the best of my ability so you can get to know me a little bit better. So secure the cup, let's go outside. So first things first, let's talk about 2025. And I don't want this to take too long, so I'll try and keep it quick. One of the biggest things that I'm going to be trying to focus on going into 2025 and going into kind of a new year of content is short form content. I kind of put off really pushing into short form content for as long as I could, but I think I found a balance of things that I like to make as well as things that I think are valuable for the audience. So going forward this year, my plan is to have my normal weekly upload of long form here on YouTube, as well as 4 different short form videos per week. And then on Fridays, I've got a new thing that I'm doing called Photo Fridays. I'm just going to be posting a photo over on Instagram with a little story of kind of how it came about or something along those lines, just to really try and get back into posting more photos on Instagram. I've tried several times, but it's just really hard. I kind of always seem to fall off. So this year I'm setting that as kind of a weekly thing. I'm going to be on there. I'm going to make sure that I stick to it this time. The other thing that I really want to focus on a lot more this year, you probably saw a little bit of it at the end of last year, is kind of more adventures, more kind of vlog style stuff where I'm going out and I'm taking all these things that I normally talk about on the channel, camera gear and photography, videography, that kind of stuff, but taking it kind of on the road, taking it out on these hiking adventures and travel adventures and all those kinds of things. I'm not going to get into the specifics of exactly the ideas I have because I want that to be special and be a surprise when it happens. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. It seems like people are kind of itching for something a little bit different than your typical photo video review and stuff, so maybe that'll be the way that I kind of do something a little bit unique. And finally, kind of more on the business side of Dunna Did It, I am looking into ways to kind of expand the diversity of the income that I make on the channel. So as it is right now, I rely a lot on sponsors. I really love working with sponsors. I love the brands that I work with and I really appreciate what they do for the channel, but I would like to diversify that a little bit, maybe not rely on them so much. And I also want to open up some opportunities for the connection between myself and you, my audience. So I am thinking about things like memberships on YouTube. They've got a membership thing, or trying Patreon again. I'm not 100% sure how or even if I'm going to fully get into that, but it is something that I'm looking into. Things like selling prints or things like merchandise and all sorts of different options that would potentially diversify the income of the channel, which it opens up more opportunities to then make more great content and hire more team members on and stuff so that I can then be making even more. So it's this cyclical thing that it all has to get worked out and be very finely tuned to make sure that it sits well with the core kind of values that I believe in and what I kind of want the channel to be. But if you have any suggestions, again, please leave them down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think and what you would want to see from the channel. So I'm changing everything in 2025. No, I'm pretty much keeping things the same. I'm just thinking about how I can fine tune and, you know, just really kind of take things to the next level as I do every single year. But I'm changing everything for 2025 would be a good title for this video, wouldn't it? All right, let's keep going. Okay. Let's answer some questions, shall we? Starting with Jackie Allison, I think is maybe how you pronounce that. They said, do you work as a freelancer or do you only do social and YouTube? And also they said, how did you start the YouTube social media space? To answer the first part of that question, I do a little bit of freelance work, a little bit of kind of contract work, mostly in the color grading space lately, but I'm really picky because I don't have to take on that kind of stuff. Like financially, social and YouTube is where I live. So I can be really picky with the projects that I take on, make sure that they're valuable to me. Mostly I've taken on projects that I'm excited to take on, or they're for people that I'm excited to work with, that kind of thing. And in terms of how I got into YouTube and the social media world, really it was accidentally. I just kind of picked up a camera and wanted to make stuff, and then it turned into something that I totally wasn't expecting it to turn into. And in the end, it's become such a wonderful part of my life, the thing that supports my family as well. Paul Jakeman IG says, any long-term or short-term goals for 2025? I kind of stated some of them earlier. I guess my goals would be to stick with my plan of doing short form more, doing my photo Fridays, and still be able to sustainably do my weekly uploads here on YouTube. Maddie Lining said, what are some content goals for 2025? More photo, more video, more tech, more events. To get a little bit more specific about it, I definitely want to do more photography content. I found that over the past year, maybe even 2 years, I've really been leaning into video heavy content. So again, with those adventures, with the events, with the travel, all of that kind of stuff, I'm going to be trying to tie in a little bit more photography into the whole thing. Underscore Loe says, is it normal that rendering in DaVinci is really slow when ultra noise reduction or magic masks are used? Yes, those are super, super heavy things that you can put on your clips, and it will slow down rendering. Kevin Z A7R5 says, the process of coming up with an idea, the execution of it, all the way to final upload. I think that's a whole video on its own to talk about that, but it really is broken down into those different steps. So there's like an ideation phase, a writing phase, filming phase, an editing phase, and kind of a finalization phase. So the World of E says, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Hopefully still on Vancouver Island, maybe a little bit further north. We've been thinking about maybe buying some property or renting up there for a while to see if we like it. Still doing this, hopefully. It's something that's on my mind a lot, is like, how long term is the YouTube world? How long can I stay relevant? How long are people going to want to watch this talk about cameras and that kind of stuff? So in 10 years, hopefully still doing exactly this, hiking around and taking cameras with me. Bernart Production says, what's your 2025 mantra? The thing that you'll live by all year. I love this because this is something that my partner and I do not just for the year, but also each kind of quarter. On each solstice or equinox, we kind of make a new word, a new kind of thing that we're going to focus on for that part of the year. Going into 2025, my word is going to be acceptance. Like, to not get discouraged by things that are out of your control and have acceptance for situations that are inevitably going to come up. If you can just accept it and then you can move forward, you can decide what to do next. You can keep going and create a new path. So acceptance is my word for right now. And Nick Strode asked the question, tacos? Yes. All right, so Lee Zavitz says, I like your weird face. Do you have your A1 Mark II yet? No, I don't have my A1 Mark II yet. It's literally out for delivery today, and I was sitting in my studio and couldn't focus on anything because I knew it was coming, so that's why I decided to get the heck out and go for a hike. So I should have it like today or tomorrow. The Black Staff says, how has the island been treating you? The island is amazing. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I live on Vancouver Island now. I've been here almost 3 years. Oh my goodness. I love it out here. So close to nature, every way you look. There's so much hiking, there's so much to do. I love it. Roland Kaufman says, how did you start getting brand deals for your videos? I want to make some moves this year. How did I start getting brand deals? I honestly did nothing but make videos. All I cared about was making videos, and the brand deals came to me. Part of that was because I was making videos that looked like the videos that they wanted to be a part of, if that makes sense. So for example, I made a review of some earbuds really early on. And so then I started getting emails from like earbud companies that wanted to send me their earbuds or wanted to sponsor videos. So really, like, the biggest thing that I can suggest is like, make the kind of content that you think that the sponsors will want to see, because they're out there looking for people who already fit what they want to see out in the world. Multi-Captured says, could you recommend a good monitor for creatives and my opinion about the studio display? I have never seen or used a studio display, so I don't really have an opinion about that. I know that it's expensive, I think. Is it expensive? I don't know. Anyway, I use ViewSonic monitors right now, so I've got a VP 2786 4K. Yeah, that's what it's called. So VP 2786 4K, and I really like it. And then I've got a VP 2785 4K, which is just the older version of the 2786. I like them because they have hardware calibration, 10-bit, or at least the 2786 is true 10-bit. And those are kind of the two things that I really needed. I also wanted them to be USB-C compatible, and those both were. So bang for buck wise, like they're not super expensive, but they're definitely not cheap either. Liz Tor Studio says, do you do mentorship? I don't really right now, and when I get asked to do like one-on-one consulting and stuff like that, I don't really take that on right now, mostly just because I don't have time to. I would love to do some kind of a cohort or a course or something that's a little bit more involved educational, instead of just making videos and putting them out there kind of randomly. But it's, again, it comes down to the fact that I'm only one person. It's something that's not off the table, but it's not something that I'm currently doing. Mohan Subaidi 65. I probably butchered that. Where can I buy Sony cameras at a competitive price in Toronto? I think that Sony cameras and most camera companies are all pretty much the same price no matter where you go. Maybe, I mean, I could be totally wrong on that, but like Henry's Camera is a great camera store in Canada, and I know they have locations in Toronto, so check that out. Sealander says, favorite Shimoda bag? That is a tough question. So I like the Explorer quite a lot. The Explorer V2 35 liter is my kind of go-to for hiking and stuff like that. It's not quite like a big heavy duty backpacking bag for kind of day-to-day stuff in the Shimoda lineup. I like the Urban Explorer, which is literally just the urban version of the Explorer, a little bit less hikey, a little bit more urban. Those are probably my two favorite Shimoda bags, but I'm a bag nut. I have way too many bags. Speaking of which, the next question is thoughts on the Nomadic Luma backpack. I didn't really talk about the Nomadic Luma backpack much because it just didn't really make much sense for me. How much gear I like to carry around and what I needed to be able to fit into it. It really just didn't work for me. I like that they did that they made that line. It's a little bit more accessible. It's a little bit simpler. I prefer the Peter McKinnon 25 is one of my favorite bags, but the Luma wasn't for me. Don't fall, don't fall. Trying not to fall on my face while holding the camera is not the easiest thing that I've ever done. I should have collapsed my tripod more. Wow, that's cool. You gotta see this. Well, that's underwhelming on camera. That tree looks so cool in real life. And here it kind of looks okay. I can hear eagles kind of doing their screechy thing. There must be a nest nearby. All right, what else we got? Ryan Murch says, how do you write scripts and come up with topics to talk about? Coming up with topics is one of the most annoying things. Generally, most of my ideas come out of something that I'm currently interested in. And it was the same way back in the day when I was teaching drums. A lot of what I would teach my students was some kind of variation on whatever I was interested in about drumming at the time. I would take it to their level, but it would be some kind of variation of something that I was super into at the time. That's something that I actually want to get a lot better at, is in the moment of discovering something or being excited about something, writing it down so that later on when it's time to make a video, I can be like, oh yeah, that thing that I got really excited about, I should make a video about that. In terms of writing scripts, it goes from like notes, then the notes turn into an outline, then the outline turns into a script. It's a lot more involved than that, and it takes a lot of time, but I'm just trying to keep it short for this video because that's probably another whole video on its own. Captured by Drew says, great MacBooks for editing photos or videos, question mark, and then fun cameras to shoot with for travel. All MacBooks are pretty great nowadays. I just got a 14-inch M3 Max, M4 Max, whatever the newest one is. I didn't necessarily need to upgrade, but I did want to go to the smaller size for travel and for that kind of stuff. In terms of a fun camera to shoot with for travel, I've never really been into the kind of like novelty of the camera itself. I kind of just want the camera to be a tool and get out of my way, have all the functions that I need. I know some people are like really into it. They like love film because it's super challenging, or they like certain cameras because they have baked in looks and stuff, and that kind of gives them a little bit of excitement or whatever. But like, I just really like a camera that does everything I need it to do, and it does it well, and it does it quickly, it does it easily. It's less about the camera and it's more about what I'm capturing and the adventure of how I got there and those kinds of things. That's partially why I bought an A1 Mark II, is because it's just like the flagship. It just does everything. It does it better than any other Sony camera, basically, and I just want it to get out of my way. Refractive Error says, where in the world would you like to travel to where you haven't been before? Ireland, Scotland, England, like that kind of part of the world. I know that it is somewhat similar to where I exist now in the gloomy raininess and whatnot, but I feel like that would be a really great part of the world to go and visit. Trav in the Bush, another great creator, says, what is a good microphone for low budget that doesn't pick up wind noise or other distractions? The microphone, how do I format this quickly? This is a long thing and I'm an audio guy. So the Rode Video Mic Go 2, it takes no batteries, so I don't have to worry about batteries. If you put a windscreen on it, it works great and it doesn't pick up a lot of wind. You can't be somewhere where it's going to pick up some background noises, but it is fairly directional. So that's my best low budget, quote unquote, microphone, and I think it does a good job of what I need it to do. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce this. XINHUI26 says, is there any content you really wanted to create but you haven't yet, and why? Yes, and mostly just because I haven't been to those places. A lot of the things that I want to do require me to go to specific places to then capture that place. That's kind of just part of being a photographer, or a lot of different kinds of photography. I would love to go photograph Japan, or I would love to go photograph in Hawaii, or I would love to go photograph in Iceland, or it's kind of all about the adventure of going somewhere and capturing that. I think we're getting close to sunset here. We're starting to get some pink in the sky. Who just leaves a canoe sitting around? Very tempted to take it for a spin, but I probably won't. I don't have any paddles. I'm running out of light very quickly here, but I've only got a couple of questions left. I've shot most of this video at ISO 12,800 because it is not a very bright day. Bits of Deb here says, how do you protect your camera when you want to shoot but it's raining? There are rain covers that you can buy. They're just like plastic sheets, or you could use a garbage bag and cut a hole in it, or however you want to go about that. I have bought one, but I have never used it. It just comes with me every once in a while when I think I might need it, but for the most part, all of my cameras have some kind of moisture and weather sealing, so if it's only a little bit of rain, I just don't worry about it. Protect your gear though. I'm not saying to like forget about it completely, but just like, you know, be careful, but use your equipment. It's meant to be used. Zach Ravilla, or Revia, says best VND filter system. Zach, this has been on my mind a lot lately. I switch filters almost as often as I switch backpacks, and specifically VNDs I've been struggling with a lot lately. I really haven't been using VNDs much and have been opting for magnetic hard NDs. And then more recently, all these companies started making the VND/CPLs, so that makes it even harder to know. Most of them honestly are pretty great. It kind of just comes down to functionality, which one you think you'll like best, and then just making sure that it's of a certain level of quality and within your price range. You know, just keep those 954 things in mind when you're out there purchasing. If I had to narrow it down though to like a couple of brands, I'd go with like Freewell or Polar Pro are kind of probably my two go-tos. Amos Joshua says, if you weren't a content creator, videographer, or photographer, what do you see yourself doing? I would probably be a music producer, which is what I was before I was a content creator, videographer, and photographer. I still really like producing music. I do it every once in a while, so I would probably be doing that. I would probably be still making music. And Yusaku VCP says, how often do you bond with your friends without camera events? That one hits deep. Not enough. I mean, I've got group chats, like we text and message and stuff a lot, but most of my best friends are other content creators, and those are the people that I connect with the most, and they all live all over the world, mostly in North America, but all over the world to some extent. Leela, I'm looking at you. I'm also a bit of an introvert, so I don't need necessarily a lot of connection, but I would love to have more connection with my friends. You cut me deep there with that question. Anyway, that was all the questions that I got from you guys. Thank you so much for everyone who put in questions. If you have more questions, you can leave them down in the comments, or you can DM me or whatever, and I'll try my best to get back to as many as I can. And if you do have ideas of what you want to see on the channel, don't be shy. Let me know. I'm open to anything pretty much. Oh no, I shouldn't have said that. I'm super interested to know what you want to learn, what you want to hear about. If you're into that kind of membership, subscription, bonus content idea, what you would want to see over there. You want to see merch, let me know what you want to see. Help me out there. I will do it on my own, but if you want to be part of the process of deciding what happens for the future of Dunna Did It, then just let me know and I'll keep it all in mind. What a beautiful night. Thank you for coming on this hike with me and for asking all the wonderful questions and for being a part of this journey with me. And I'll see you next time.